Hey, what's up? Well, I'm back again with a video, and it will be one of the last because this is our last week that we will be in Texas, hopefully ever again. Um, Basically, I am coming home. Well, I came home yesterday. We spent one weekend at our house, just depositing more stuff, that my dad didn't pack up in December. And, we're just kind of doing the last of that as far as packing up. Um, I don't know what we're going to get rid of. I don't know what we're going to take, but it's all going to happen this week. Um, you know, really should have happened in December, but we just couldn't make that happen. And I should have been back a lot sooner than I was from my mom's house. And he wanted me back, but she kept holding me hostage, so to speak. People don't understand that. They think I should just call the police. That's what my sister does. Just call the police and don't have anything to do with her. Well, that's, easier said than done. They don't understand what it means that she's holding me hostage. Well, she's not putting a gun to my head and, saying, I'm going to kill you if you leave. Well, no, she basically just kind of guilt trips me into staying longer and longer and longer and longer. And every single time I go to her house, it's like she wants to drag it out even longer than she did last time. It's like she just, I don't know how to explain it. It's like I don't exactly have free will. Whether I'm with my dad or I'm with my mom, it doesn't really matter who I'm with. I just don't have free will to come and go as I please. Like right now, I don't have my car, it's at the house. And when I was with my mom, well, I had my car, but she's not just going to let me get in that car and just, go wherever, whenever. It doesn't work that way. It never has and probably never will as long as they're alive. As long as one or both of my parents are alive, I'm always going to have to answer to the one that is alive. It's just very hard on me, because it couldn't be more different. The life that I have with my mom versus the life with my dad, it's just couldn't be more different. It's like they both get on me about the same things, only for the opposite reasons. It's the weirdest thing ever. My mom says that I'm a slob, I'm becoming just like my daddy and I'm filthy and, I don't wipe up the few droplets of water after I wash my hands, and she'll get me out of bed and force me to do that. Like I'm a child. She talks down to me and basically says, that she sees me as a child, no matter how old I'm going to get. I'm going to be 40 this summer, but she treats me like a child and she disrespects me. And my sister, it's the weirdest situation, the one that she actually did more for my sister than she ever thought of doing for me. My sister demanded way more of her growing up. And keep in mind, that this girl, as I've stated before, she pooped in her panties numerous times throughout her childhood, but yet she's not in the ground. Okay. So, and yet somehow my mom is an abuser. So basically, my mom, she talks down to me. She treats me like a child, and I'm not free to go. You know what I'm saying? I'm not free to leave her house whenever I want to. And she basically, I'm just so sick of being used as a weapon to hurt my other parent. It's like both my parents take turns using me whatever way possible, and try to get me to hurt the other parent. And that's just not fair, and I do everything in my power not to. And so I'm wearing my patriotic glasses, even though it's not a patriotic holiday, but they represent freedom. And that's exactly what I hope to achieve, in leaving Texas. I want freedom from the bondage that is a life with two parents, that are like 5 hours or more apart. And I'm sick to death of that life. I'm sick of having to travel that far and be dependent on my dad to get me from point A to point B. And I'm sick of him clinging on for dear life to his job and the only thing he was ever good in. Okay. So, that's enough ranting. But she pretty much, she just guilt trips me. She doesn't beat me up. She doesn't hold a gun to my head. She doesn't, put chains on me. But she simply guilt trips me into staying longer and longer and longer. Each time that I'm with her, she wants to see how long she can make me stay, before I get mad or, just flat out say I want to be with my daddy. And it's not because I enjoy being with my daddy. No. You know, I mean, it's not a wonderful life in either place. No. But it's the fact that I know that when I'm not with my daddy, he's suffering, the place is suffering, and, you know, because he flat out will not do for himself. Okay, he refuses. If it's not his job, if he's not getting paid for it, he flat out refuses to do it. And it's a shame that I have to be dependent on him for anything at all. Okay, because I hate it. I hate having to be dependent on someone that just doesn't take care of their own basic needs, just doesn't care about their own physical human body. Okay, it's so tough. It's so hard to be dependent on someone like that. But that's exactly the position that my mom put herself in. And that's why she's so miserable. She depended on someone who hated providing for himself, let alone her. And so, yeah, and it's like, you know, she kind of guilt trips me, you know, by saying that she didn't have 2 kids so that she could be alone with a cat for most of the year. And it's so true. And I can't disagree with her. You know, I'm sorry that her life is what it is. You know, I'm sorry she isn't surrounded by people, you know, like other women her age. You know, I'm sorry that her life is what it is. But you know what? That's not my fault. And I can't just, you know, do without health care and the things that my dad provides for me, you know, just to be over there and make her feel like, you know, half of her kids, meaning 1 out of 2, actually cares about her, which is the truth. I do care about her. But my sister, you know, she's just decided to be selfish, like so many young people, and just decide that, you know, if you're not going to go along with the life that she has, well, you can just get out of her life. And that sucks because her life really is terrible and she just doesn't see it. Okay, so enough about that ranting. What I want to talk about in this video, I mean, there's just so many things that I was thinking about at my mom's house. But as I've stated before, I absolutely cannot make videos from my mom's house like this unless she happens to be gone. And for her to be gone without me, see, that's another thing. It's like when I'm at her house, I'm like her shadow. I have to be, you know, by her side at all times. I don't have the freedom to say, well, I'm going to go to this place and you're not going to come with me, or you can go to that place and I'm not going to go with you. Well, it doesn't work that way. Okay, I go over there to be with her, not to do my own thing, and not for her to do her own thing, because see, that's what I'm saying, she doesn't really have a life. You know, she didn't build a life outside of her own family and her own kids. And now that my dad divorced her and my sister wants nothing to do with her, then she's kind of stuck in a very miserable, lonely, sad situation. And I'm just so sorry for her that she endured 2 pregnancies. And, you know, what does she have to show for it? She's alone most of the time with a cat. You know, she could have spared her body and been a cat lady, you know, and just not had kids, you know, if she wanted to be alone with a cat and dependent on people that weren't with her when she was raising her kids and her family and all that. But anyway, so, you know, what I want to talk about in this video that I was thinking about, you know, while I was at my mom's house, you know, a lot of things happened, a lot of thoughts went through my mind. But, you know, as I've stated before, one thing that really strikes me, you know, that really infuriates me is, you know, when people accuse me of actual genetic maleness. And what do I mean by that? I mean, I know my hair is kind of short, you know, and it'll grow out, as I stated before. But when people accuse me of being an actual male, and, you know, it's laughable. It's like these same people that felt the need to ban me from, what is it, TV tropes, you know, as little master points, which, as I've stated before, I mean, that username is just so outdated, so not what I want to be anymore. I really don't give a crap. And it really doesn't bother me all that much that they deleted my contributions, you know, because when I look back over what I actually wrote, they're kind of lame. You know, I don't really care. I don't really care anymore, you know, about having those contributions that I made like 3 years ago or 4 years ago about that stupid movie that I really never should have seen. You know, if I'd have listened to my mom, I never would have seen that movie. Like, you know, it literally, like when they played the trailer, is it going to be 20 years old? Just wow, this summer. When they played the trailer for that movie, my mom basically said, that looks like crap. And what I didn't know is that she was literally right. Literally. She said it looked like crap. And that she wasn't going to waste a dime taking either one of us to go see it. At the time, my sister was 11 and she was sort of getting out of that cartoon, not quite as interested as she had been. And I was 20, or I was turning 20, and I really shouldn't have even known about it, let alone cared by that point. And I'd been through 1 year of college, and if she wouldn't have red-shirted me, which is a term I didn't even know about when I was a child, which means you put a child with a summer birthday in kindergarten at age 6 instead of 5, so that they don't ever turn 7 during the kindergarten year, but they're 6 the whole year instead of 5. That's called red-shirting. And she did that to me in '89. And so, I graduated in 2002, which chronologically, most people my age graduated in 2001. Okay, so really, by the time that movie came out, I should have been 2 years out of high school, but instead only had 1 year of college, because of that. And she also didn't let me graduate high school earlier, because with both of us, it's like she wanted to extend the control she had over us, and keeping us in high school, keeping us in this childlike state of, being a high school student for as long as possible. And the most negative effect that it had on me, this red shirting, is it just made my puberty seem to happen 1 grade sooner. It was happening at a normal age, but in being a 4th grader instead of a 5th grader, it made me look like a really early bloomer. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't get my period until I was almost 12, but it almost looked like I would be getting, I was in class with people that were still 10. And so I seemed to be a really early bloomer when I was just a slightly early bloomer. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't have any boyfriends, because they were mostly younger than me, and the few that were my age and older had normally failed a grade, so I wasn't into them. So yeah, I was 19, almost 20 when that movie came out. Been through 1 year of college, and I really shouldn't have cared about it. So if I'd have listened to my mom, I just would have never even seen it whatsoever. You know what I'm saying? And I only saw it the first time from renting a VHS from the library, which, she was in no hurry for us to see it on VHS, even when it came out. So the reality is the movie should not have concerned my life in the first place. And I'm somewhat ashamed to have even contributed anything to any database regarding that movie. That's how I'm starting to feel about it. I mean, yes, I'm still steadfast in what I believe happened in the movie, but I'm coming to my senses in the way that I wish that I'd never written about it. I'd never put that out there. I wish I could, go back and just keep it to myself and never discuss what I think about the movie. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm not really upset that I was banned as Little Master points, because it's just couldn't be further from who I am as far as an identity. But what really bothers me, like so many places online, is when people literally think that I'm male and they will not accept correction when I tell them otherwise. They refer to me as he and him, and they want to believe that I'm an actual man. They want to believe that I have a you-know-what between my legs. And they're wanting me to prove otherwise, trying to force me to take pictures of body parts, which I refuse. They're just, it's like they're wanting to say that I'm pretending to be a female. I'm not actually a female. But, really and truly, they just don't know how wrong they are. If anything, that's the opposite of the truth. If I was ever pretending to be anything, it was male or masculine. I'm the polar opposite of what they're accusing me of being. And it's just so infuriating, and they will actually cite real men's names and try to connect me to actual other people that have been banned, such as Josh. And another time I was accused of being a man named Pete. I don't know who the hell that is, but somewhere I was banned many years ago for a different reason, and someone wanted to say that I was Pete because someone named Pete had also been banned, and they wanted to connect me with people that I'm not, okay? But it's just so infuriating. So many times, I've been banned on 4chan, and people wanted to say that, that because I wouldn't show my breast, or, you know what I'm saying? And it's disgusting. It's like, even if I did produce such an image, which I'm not, that still wouldn't be proof, because that could be someone else. You know what I'm saying? So there's just no way to prove it. But I know that I'm not a male. You know what I'm saying? I know that the pretense about my gender in the past was that I was male, not that I was female. You know what I'm saying? But it's almost like once you're a shade of purple, which is why I love that color so much. Once you're a shade of purple, meaning you're somewhere between what they consider a normal heterosexual male or a woman that would attract such a male, you know what I'm saying? Once you're outside of the box of so-called normal people, it's like they don't really care. You know, it doesn't matter what type of gay or LGBTQ plus, it doesn't matter what type you are. You know, once you're not normal, you're not like them, you know, they don't really care. It's like they just consider you other, and, you know, they just treat you badly accordingly. And it's like they won't, you know, they won't let you tell them the truth, you know, like in my case, that I'm actually a female. You know, it's like so many people have just not, they just, you know, because they have this certain image of women. You know, so many men, it's like they have this ideal of what they want a woman to be, this little pink box. And because I'm outside of that in so many ways, you know, it would just be so much easier in their mind just for me to be male, you know, so that they wouldn't have to admit or accept or believe that women can be different from what they think a woman is or should be. You know what I'm saying? It would just be so much easier just to think that I'm male. But I'm not male. And you know, I had the menstrual periods for 21 years to prove it. And it's like, yeah, it just makes me so mad, because I know that I'm not male. I know that my body isn't male. And really, my brain isn't either. And on one site, I think it was 4chan a couple years ago, around the time that I originally posted some of this content, you know, somebody says, well, I don't believe you're a woman because, you know, scat fetishes are pretty common among men. I mean, they're really not normal for anyone. The reality is they're not normal for anyone, okay? And so because I've never met a woman with a scat fetish, well, you have to be male, because, you know, the only people that I've ever met that had it were male, so you're male, because, well, first of all, okay, I don't have a scat fetish, okay? If anything, I am like one of the cleanest people that you will ever meet, okay? Next to my mom and her sisters, like, I am one of the cleanest people you will ever meet, okay? So I don't have a scat fetish, okay? I wouldn't call what I have a scat fetish. Poop fetish, you know, putting it mildly, perhaps, but not really, okay? I don't engage in any scat play. I've never have, never will. I don't have a scat fetish. In fact, you know, I would actually be more, I would be more likely to suspect that my sister has one than I do. Okay, so for one thing, I don't have such a fetish, you know. I don't poop in my clothes. I don't wear diapers. I don't do anything of that nature. Okay, I won't even fart in my clothes, as I've stated before, let alone that. Okay, so I don't have any kind of a diaper fetish or a scat fetish. I just have a fantasy, not a fetish. There's a difference between a fantasy and a fetish, in that a fantasy is something you don't act on. Okay, you could have a fantasy about going to the moon or going to Mars or something like that. Okay, but you're not ever going to actually do that. Okay, a fantasy and a fetish is something that you act on and you must have present in order to get aroused. Okay, and I don't have that. Okay, I don't engage in such behavior. I only fantasize about, you know, my favorite fantasy, I would have to say, is about someone who is known to be bad pooping on themselves. And that's only because other things like peeing and vomiting and catching a cold are just not enough for me anymore. Okay, I've had to pretty much go to that next level, you know, of fantasy. It's like I fantasize about them being harmed or hurt in such a way. And, you know, it's to the point where, you know, other things just aren't enough. Okay? But it's all about humiliation, not so much the poop itself. It's the humiliation that it causes. You know, it's just as exciting, like if I never actually see the poop or smell it, or, you know what I'm saying? It's not so much like, you know, it could be every bit as thrilling just to read a story about it with no pictures as it is to see a graphic image. You know what I'm saying? It's the concept of it, not the actual reality of it, that does something for me. In fact, the reality of it, you know, in high doses, which I made a whole video about why I don't have a dog, you know, being exposed to the reality of it to too much, yeah, like too high of an extent could actually kill the fantasy, if you know what I mean. Like if I actually had to change diapers for an extended period of time, you know, that could make it less exciting. I would get desensitized to it, and it wouldn't be such a big deal anymore. And that's another reason why it's so imperative that I never do it on myself. So yeah, like, so I don't have a scat fetish. I just have poop fantasies. Okay. And also, yeah, the other thing is, how do you know women don't have such fetishes? You know what I'm saying? See, men, they make all these, you know, generalizations about women, you know, like they know women, they know everything there is to know about women. Okay, but do they really? You know, that's what I'm saying. I mean, sure, they may have had a mom, they may have had sisters, they may have had girlfriends, but how do they know everything there is to know about said women? You know what I'm saying? These men, you know, that swear up and down that, you know, for instance, the only people who ever crap their pants are men. And to an extent, you know, I mean, males do it a lot more because they fart all the time. They don't care about getting to a toilet because they're too lazy. You know, they can't be bothered to get up and sit on the toilet to fart. But, you know, but how do they really know? I mean, honestly, you know, like the thing about women, as I've stated before, is we're a lot more discreet about things. We have higher inhibitions. You know, we keep things to ourselves in many cases, especially about ourselves. You know what I'm saying? But how do they really know? You know, because let's say a girl did, you know, crap in her pants or even enjoy crapping her pants. Do you think she's going to announce it to the world? See, that's what they're too stupid to realize, you know, is that women just, you know, they don't take pictures of their body parts and their bowel movements and post them online, you know, and announce to people. They're not going to, you know, if your sister, let's say she were to crap in her pants as she's an adult, yeah, she's not going to call you on the phone and say, hey, guess what happened? Here's a picture of it. Well, no, because we're not like that. We're not disgusting like that. Really, they shouldn't be like that either. But in my case, I never have done it, you know, but yeah, women are just more discreet, you know, just like we don't walk around in our panties, you know, if we're decent. We don't walk around even without a bra. I'm wearing one. We're more discreet about the negative things regarding ourselves. And another thing is, if we have such fantasies, see, here's the other thing about women, is we have no problem talking about poop. You know, we'll talk about our dog's poop, our kids' poop, you know, other people, but it's ourselves, you know, our own human body is what we don't like to talk about, because we are discreet and we're modest. You know, a certain modesty is to be expected from someone who cannot go without a shirt. You know what I'm saying? Men can go without a shirt, and that creates a whole different mindset about their bodies and their bodily functions. Okay? So, you know, it's like, how do they know, you know, what women fantasize about, or, you know what I'm saying? I mean, just because no woman has ever sat down with you and talked to you about it, doesn't mean that such thoughts never go through any woman's mind. You know, of course, we're not going to talk about it if we think something is socially unacceptable, as I've stated before. So yeah, I'm just tired of being accused of maleness, you know, genetic, actual maleness. I guess I would have been flattered at some point when I wanted to be male, but you know, now it's just, it feels like discrediting my life history as a woman. So I'll go ahead and post this before it gets way too long.